Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Military Mondays. For those who do not know who I am retired Major Brenda Sanchez, and I am the co-founder of Life's Real Currency with my husband, Michael Sanchez. And every single Monday morning, I bring you Military Mondays. That's at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. And I love to highlight veterans, spouses of veterans, even people that are currently serving right now. I like to highlight them because some of those people that are serving have a side gig or a side business that they're working, getting ready for retirement. And the whole purpose of this is to get the word out to the community about veteran owned businesses and to educate you on life in the military and just give you a little piece of what maybe I went through, not maybe, what I did go through for 27 years in the Air Force. So if you want to stay connected with me and Military Mondays and learn about past and upcoming shows, go to militarymondays.info. So that's militarymondays with an s.info and put your information in because I would love to stay connected to you. But enough of that. I have an amazing woman on today that I met here in Colorado Springs. She's now in Ohio. Yeah. Ohio. But Natalie and I met through a military networking group. And her and I have been connected now for probably a couple of years, I think. And she is a military spouse. Actually, her husband just retired months ago. Like
in March. Yeah. Officially in March. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they just moved to Ohio. So, congratulations on his retirement and phase of life.
Yes, we made it.
You made it. So tell me a little bit about you and how long did your husband serve?
Well, he served for 25 years. And so he's a hospital administrator. So now he's working for the Cleveland Clinic system. But in that, it was, before we were married, he was ROTC. So those years counted. So like 20 plus of those years, I was raising 2 children with disabilities while we were moving around every 2 to 3 years. So, as you can imagine, like that presents a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
So thankfully we're in a place where, they both have access to day programs, except for one of them can't go right now due to COVID. So yeah, lots of challenges in life still, even being retired from the military. But now I'm a life coach. So, I dedicated 20 plus years to raising my children. And then I finally got to the point where, what about me? It's like, what am I going to do with my life other than just raising kids? So, that was a full-time job. And now I've added on the life coaching because it just brings me so much joy to do what I feel like is my purpose in life.
Awesome. So before we get to the life coaching, I want you to talk about life as a military spouse. So moving every couple of years, we had a discussion prior to going live. So that can be a challenge. And you talked about as a spouse and having to move every couple of years, especially with 2 special needs kids, that you never took time for yourself.
Right. I was so focused on, my son has autism, so he couldn't even talk, even we had been doing speech therapy with him. We had done some ABA, just very, very limited language. And then when my husband deployed to Iraq, we dealt with behaviors, and which is, I'm sure, common for everybody, but of course it's amplified if they have autism.
Right.
And then, with my daughter, she has Wolf-Hirschhorn syndrome. So her needs are more physical. and just really hands-on with the, me having to provide the care for her. And so that, on top of being military, was very challenging. And especially with moving around every 2 to 3 years, you have to I always called ahead to make sure that we were going to be moving to the places with the best school systems, with the services that would, serve them best. And so, always having to look ahead. I mean, that was a full-time job in itself right there. So yeah, I really wasn't focused at all on myself and meeting my own needs. And, looking back, I wish I had had a life coach, because then I could have had even more energy for them, because, when you take care of yourself, that just refuels you so that you have the energy to, even more energy for your kids, and because you're giving it to yourself first.
Right. So I have a question for you. So as the mom of 2 special needs kids, being in the military, let's talk about for a second, before life coaching, what services are available, because there may be somebody watching right now. So other than reaching out to you, because obviously you have experience doing this, but what services, because I know the services, the different branches of the service do help people with special needs. I mean, you can stay longer in locations because of that and other things. So what are the tools or the resources within the service that are available, that maybe you could share a couple of those, so that those who are watching maybe can tap into those?
Oh, definitely. So I would definitely recommend EFMP, the Exceptional Family Member Program. And they provide respite care services for the caregiver. And, don't put it off like I did. It is a lot of paperwork. But I just really encourage you, just do it. It's worth it. You need that time. You need that respite. Just take the time, go see the doctor, do the appointments, do the paperwork, so that you can start getting that break.
Do you think that it took you a while to fill out that paperwork because you felt like if you filled it out, you were in a way failing?
I didn't feel like that. I just felt like, well, there was the thought of, I just want to do it. I just want to be the one to provide the care for my kid.
Right. Yeah, I've heard.
And then it's a matter of, it's just a lot of paperwork. And like I said, you've got to do the appointments, ton of paperwork. And it's just like, there's so much to do as it is. Like I said, with having to focus on the schools and the IEPs and all of that, that you just, you get overwhelmed as a parent of 2 children with special needs. Yeah. So I get it. I understand, but I would definitely fill out that paperwork and don't wait.
and as a spouse, did you find support through other spouses and through the spouses organizations, or what would you recommend maybe to somebody who's still in as a spouse, which maybe, other than reaching out to you, obviously, for coaching, because you can help them with that. What pieces of advice would you have for military spouses?
Yeah, and the other support group I would recommend is the family support group, the FSG. So I got support in that group when my husband deployed to Iraq. So I don't know kind of what, if it's only if your spouse is deployed. I think it might be, I'm not completely sure. But that was one group that really helped me.
Awesome.
And I do recommend reaching out and joining, support groups, because like I said, it is important for you to refuel as an adult with other adults.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's great taking care of your kids, and your kids need you, but if you're not, I talk about this even in business, if you're not 100%, if you're not taking care of you can't serve your clients. You
Right.
can't serve your kids. You can't serve your spouse.
Right.
You can't serve your community in the best way possible because you are lacking in energy or lacking in not just energy, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, I mean, you are lacking in energy. If you're not, taking care of yourself, then
Yeah.
you are lacking in it, because it is just, it's draining.
Exactly. So that brings us to Limitless Life Coaching with
Yeah.
Natalie. And so tell us a little bit about how that came about. I know it came about somewhat because of being a special needs mom and
Mhm. Yeah.
taking all different kinds of coaching and tapping into resources and
Yeah, that's actually because Brenda's heard my speech before. She knows. Yeah. So what happened was, with my son having autism and mood disorder, I was searching for what brings people happiness, to help him feel better, you know. And so I read Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. And then that led me to his coaching program, which is strategic intervention. So I became certified in that. And so it was great because, I found something that I was looking for my son, but I actually found something that really fills me up. I
awesome.
found my own purpose. So, which is great. And that's what I can also help other people with. If they come to me, they've been, especially the moms, right? They've been putting all their energy into caring for their kids. And now it's time to look at what your needs are. Tony Robbins, has identified that we all have 6 essential human needs. So if you're not feeling fulfilled in your life, more than likely one or more of your 6 human needs are not being met. And so that applied to me. So, coaching, it has been transformative for me. And I just love it because I know it transforms people's lives.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you and all of the little coaching that I've gotten and the networking we've done. Now you're in Ohio, so other than when we get on the phone or on Zoom, but so.
Well, that's a good point. Let me interject right there, is that I do coach people over the phone and Zoom.
Right.
So I don't have to be right there in person. So that's the beauty of coaching.
Yeah, you just actually gained a client in Australia, right?
Yeah, I did. Really excited about it. My first international client.
So you actually can take clients anywhere. But let me ask you this. You also just made a transition that he got out of the service. He's retired. And that's a huge transition.
Right.
I was the military person, so I know what that transition's like as a military person. What's that transition like as a spouse?
Well, yeah, spouses know. Yeah, it's challenge. It's always a challenge, but thank goodness I'm a life coach, right? Because it's like now I know, what to do. So, I mean, time management is something that I coach on. And, I know how to schedule everything in so that I'm getting everything done. First I had to write my list, of everything that needed to be done. Then I scheduled it out. And so, yes, it was still challenging, but at least I got it done, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so, and you get better at it over the years for sure.
So what advice would you have for a military spouse or even somebody serving that is getting ready to retire? Can you give them 2 or 3 tips right now that would help them to make that transition a better transition?
Well, I tell you, my husband really, I have to brag about my husband now a little bit because he really made it easier for us all by looking ahead, months ahead, finding this job that he got with the Cleveland Clinic system. And so it was, as far as, income, that was a seamless transition. So there wasn't that financial stress there. As far as, what I have to do with the kids, I would recommend brainstorming a list of everything that you have to get done, because there's a lot. As far as looking ahead, if you have kids with special needs, looking ahead, making sure that they have the services there in that area. Like, we found a doggy daycare for my son here that's a vocational program. And so we just knew that we had to move here. We had to move somewhere where he could access that. So I definitely recommend making sure that the services are there before you move. So we did that. And like I said, there's not really anything easy about it. You have to call ahead. You have to plan ahead. I flew out actually beforehand to look at houses. We found this one. So it's just looking ahead. I would say that would be my biggest piece of advice. You want to be planning ahead before the move.
And how far in advance would you say you should start doing that?
Well, this came on kind of suddenly because they wanted him within 90 days. So,
oh, wow.
yeah. So, I mean, at least 3 months ahead. I mean, that's all we had. And then that was pretty hectic, but at least.
But if somebody knows they're retiring in 2 years or 3 years, when should they start planning that transition?
Well, I mean, the first stage would be thinking about what you want to do as your career, if you're having a second career, right? So that's something I can always help you with during our life coaching sessions. It's like thinking about what you really want to do, because that should be the focus, right? When you're retired, and it's like, what do I really want to do now? What gives me the energy, like we're talking about, to keep going, to put in, hours into if you're a mom, into my kids and my business, so that's the planning ahead would actually just be the dreaming and the thinking about what do I want to do next. And then through life coaching, we just take steps towards your goals, and they don't have to be big steps. Sometimes it's just, like I said, with my own journey, it started with reading a book, so if you have an interest in something, just start pursuing that. And then eventually you're going to get to where you want to go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. How can the listeners reach you? Like, how can they find you? Oh, and there's
my daughter. Yay.
Hi.
This is Becca.
Hi, Becca.
She's home from day program because we don't want her to get sick. So we've been hanging out together.
So how can they reach you, Natalie?
Well, actually, I do want to tell you about, I have 2 Facebook groups. I have one for working moms called Working Moms Having It All. So if you just go to great Facebook groups, you can just type that in, and I'll drop a few links in the comments. And it's actually for all moms, because we all work, right? And we all deserve to be living our best lives as we care for our children. So I have that. And then I also actually have a group coaching program that I'm kicking off for working moms starting in July. So nice. Come join my working moms group, and then you can learn all about that. And then the other Facebook group that I have is called Inspired Parenting, for parents and children and adults with, parents, let me say it again, it's kind of long. Inspired Parenting for children and adults with special needs and autism. So I'll drop that link in there. So
awesome.
As well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit of your wisdom of being the spouse, and what you're doing now to have a career even with special needs kids. So I applaud you and wish you absolute great success, which I know you're already having, but even bigger success.
Well,
And thank you everyone for tuning in today. Again, I'm Brenda Sanchez, and I bring you these Military Mondays every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. If you are a veteran or you are a military member that's getting ready to retire and already has a second career or a job or a business, I would love to chat with you. Or if you're the spouse of a veteran or the child of a veteran, please reach out to me because I'd love to connect with you and maybe highlight you on my Military Mondays. So with that, everyone, have a great week, and we will see you next Monday on Military Mondays. Bye, everyone.